Looking at the octahedrites, when we etch them, now before we etch them, they would look like the atexite there, just a nice polished surface. But when we put the acid to it, it takes on this etched appearance. You see a crisscrossing series of bands or lamellae, and these bands of different colors. The different colors match the nickel content of that particular lamellae. The very brightest ones there are the nickel-rich ones, and the grayer to almost black ones are nickel-poor. Carrying on our look at the octahedrites. Well, they have the name octahedrite because they're built up of interlocking octahedral crystals. An octahedral crystal is a crystal that has 8 faces to it, 8 sides to it. You see a cartoon drawing there of facing you 4 equilateral triangular faces and then 4 on the back side. Diamond most often forms in this form, though sometimes you see cubic crystals of diamond. It's a white diamond and a blue diamond. Pyrite can form in several different crystal shapes, sometimes octahedral, sometimes cubic, sometimes some other forms. And octahedral iron in a meteorite, if you're able to dig a single crystal out, which you can't usually do, but in this case somebody did it and I bought it from them, there's a nice part of an octahedral right beside me, an octahedral crystal of iron. Now look at that blue diamond and look at the meteorite iron. You see that the crystal faces look like they've got bumps on them. And in this case, they're built up of, there's the octahedral crystal, and then on this face, there's another layer. Now, in the case of the diamond, the layer's identical, and they're built up like this, on top of one another. In the iron meteorite, for the octahedrite, likewise, these are built up on top of each other, but the different lamellae have a different nickel content. So this nickel content might be a high, shiny one. This one might be a low nickel content, and it will be darker in color in the etched specimen. Now this kind of crisscross pattern was first recognized and described about 1.5 centuries ago by an Austrian whose family name was Widmanstätten, in English, Widmanstätten, and so we name it after him. It's his pattern. Now if we take a look at this Widmanstätten structure, we can see somewhat different things depending on the cut and on the meteorite. These are all to the same scale. And notice that there in the far picture, the silvery lines, the nickel-rich guys, are barely 1 millimeter thick. In the next picture, the silvery bands are 2 to 3 millimeters thick, maybe some of them a bit thicker. And in this last one, they're sort of 3 to 5 millimeters thick. So some meteorites will have this very wide pattern, and all samples of that meteorite have that wide pattern, and then others will have a narrower pattern, and it's pretty consistent within all of the pieces of that particular meteorite. We also see different angles. In the far right, we can see almost a right angle between the different lamellae. In the next picture, you see a very nice representation in the lamellae of the edges of that equilateral triangle. And then in this next one, it's kind of scattered a bit. And this all depends on the cut. So here's an octahedron cartoon up here, and here the octahedron is cut a certain way, such that we look at the lamellae, and they have this right angular look to them. If the cut is pretty close to one of those octahedral crystal faces, that's when we see the nice equilateral triangular forms. If it's at an oblique angle, well then we get kind of a messed up looking system. And on this nice meteorite ball, well, here it's cut so that you see the nice octahedral crystal face type structure with an equilateral triangle, and then over here, closer to me, you see the right angle type. A little bit more about octahedrites. Some people like to make things out of these octahedrites. For people who like to work in metal, it's a favorite metal. Over here, a set of wedding rings made in 14 karat gold and a very nice octahedral iron crystal band in the middle. It's difficult to do this with the iron meteorite stuff. It's hard to work it that way. That set of wedding rings, it cost you about $3,000. Then there's a nice pendant, depending on the size, maybe $200 to $500. A nice octahedral knife over there, nice 4 or 5 inch blade. Then the maker used some turquoise for decoration. He also used fossilized wood for the handle. Probably cost you about $1,000 to buy that. And if you think you need a new head, well, some people even making out of a big chunk of an octahedrite, make an entire skull. I don't know how much it would cost to buy that thing. $5,000 maybe? I'm guessing. Never tried to buy one.